In the world of high-stakes gambling, the quickest way to go broke is to play someone else's hand. In the geopolitical landscape of the 21st century, the Philippines is currently being pressured to do exactly that, to join a US-led containment strategy against China. Mainstream media often frames this as a moral choice, democracy versus autocracy. But if we apply game theory, we see that for the Philippines, demonizing China isn't just a diplomatic risk. It's a strategic blunder. In a game where the two biggest players are the US and China, a middle power's survival depends not on picking a side, but on ensuring neither side can fully claim you. Today, we're going to look at the math of the prisoner's dilemma, the danger of asymmetric interdependence, and why the most rational move for Manila is one that Washington might hate: strategic hedging. The prisoner's dilemma, the containment trap. Let's start with the most famous model in game theory, the prisoner's dilemma. In this scenario, two players can either cooperate or betray each other. If the Philippines chooses containment, betrayal of the neighbor, it hopes for a high payoff, total US protection. But game theory shows us that if the Philippines betrays the regional relationship, China will naturally retaliate. For the US, containment is a global strategy with manageable risks. But for the Philippines, China is not a distant threat. It is a permanent neighbor. As IR scholar Brantley Womack notes in his theory of asymmetry, a smaller state cannot win a conflict with a much larger neighbor through escalation. If Manila demonizes Beijing, it enters a non-cooperative game. The payoff for the Philippines in a conflict scenario is almost always negative: economic sanctions, trade embargoes, and the loss of its largest export market. For a superpower like the US, these are externalities. For the Philippines, they are existential threats. Asymmetric interdependence, the economic handcuffs. One of the biggest reasons demonization fails is what Robert Keohane and Joseph Nye call asymmetric interdependence. The Philippines and China are locked in an economic embrace that is not equal. China is the Philippines' top trading partner. We rely on them for everything from refined petroleum to the very steel used in our Build Better More projects. In game theory, this is a linkage game. If the Philippines tries to win in the security sector by joining the US containment strategy, China can counter-move in the economic sector. By demonizing China, the Philippines risks a trade war where it has zero leverage. Unlike the US, which has a diversified global economy, the Philippines is geographically and logistically tied to the Asian supply chain. To decouple from China isn't just difficult, it's economic suicide. A rational actor does not destroy their own house to help a neighbor build a fence. There's another game being played, the game of chicken. This is where two drivers speed toward each other, and the first one to swerve is the chicken. By joining the US containment strategy, the Philippines is essentially jumping into the passenger seat of the American car. The US is betting that China will swerve first. But what happens if neither swerves? In game theory, this leads to the worst-case payoff, a collision. In a US-China collision over Taiwan or the South China Sea, the Philippines provides the front bumper. As Stephen Walt points out, small states that join great power crusades often suffer entrapment. They get dragged into a war they didn't start, over interests that aren't theirs, on a battlefield that is their home. Demonizing China removes the escape hatch. It tells Beijing that the Philippines is no longer a neutral neighbor, but a hostile outpost. This forces China to treat the Philippines as a legitimate military target in any opening strike. The winning move, strategic hedging. So, what is the Nash equilibrium? The move where no player can improve their position by changing their strategy alone. It's called hedging. Hedging is the act of maintaining dual-track diplomacy. You make the US alliance more mutual and equal, but you keep the Chinese relationship for economic growth. By refusing to demonize China, the Philippines maintains its strategic autonomy. When you are neutral, both sides have to bid for your favor. The moment you pick a side and demonize the other, you lose your bargaining power. You become taken for granted by your ally and targeted by your enemy. As many Southeast Asian analysts argue, the goal is centrality. We should follow the ASEAN model, be a friend to all and a pawn to none. The interest of the Filipino people is not found in the containment of a superpower, but in the prosperity of the archipelago. In the game of giants, the smartest move is often to stay off the board. If you enjoyed this analysis of the neutrality paradox, don't forget to like and subscribe. Is it possible to be friends with both, or is the choice already made? Let us know in the comments.